House of Lords, just how much the Jewish community and JVN, for example, is admired around government, because the community, Jewish community, does such amazing work, not just in helping within the community, but also in assisting in so many other communities. And I often hear actually from other groups, particularly other minority groups, how much they admire the Jewish community, its structures and its participation, and they seek to copy it as well. So your contribution on a governmental level and across other communities is just so much, it's just recognized so much. And I also recognize this is a real time commitment and a real commitment of personal effort. And we all have so many other things to be doing. We've got family, we've got work, we've got so many other important things we have to attend to. So at any time, this is an amazing commitment. And that's a real thank you to you, but also to all of your family. And I'd be really grateful to pass that message on, because we know it's not just you, it's your family also help you and assist you to participate as a volunteer. But also at this time at COVID-19, for those of you who have been able to help, I know there's some of you who have been unable at COVID-19 to assist, but you know, that's been particularly special. It's been so needed, but also you've provided so much, and the message it sends that at a time of extreme difficulty, you're thinking of others, but other people know they're being thought of, and that makes an immense difference. And I've seen it with Jewish Care, for example. The work that people do in delivering food has just been so vital to the community, and the message it sends that people are not alone at difficult times is just remarkable. So I'd ask you to do one thing. I'd ask you also to tell people about what you get out of volunteering, because the more people you can encourage and you tell about what you get out of it and the good that you're able to do, the more people will come on. And we are in National Volunteer Week, so the more people we can get as volunteers in whatever capacity they can do, whatever element they can do is so important. So I wanted to end really by saying thank you, saying a proper thank you. Thank you to you, a thank you to your family, a thank you for all the things you've done in the past, for what you're doing at the present, and particularly what you're going to do in the future. Thank you to all of you. I know it's not easy, but I hope it's rewarding. I know it certainly makes such a difference to the organizations you contribute to and the people you help. So thank you very much. I look forward to hearing from others, and I hope you really enjoy the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. We really, really appreciate you being with us, and for all that you do as well to support volunteering and generally in the wider world. So thank you very much for being with us this morning and for giving us your time. I'm now delighted to introduce Marie van der Zyl. Marie is the President of the Board of Deputies. She was elected in 2018. Marie has played a crucial part in the fight against anti-Semitism and has pursued interfaith relations with Britain's faith communities, which is so important. Marie was also at the forefront of the successful campaign against the North London coroner's so-called cab rank policy. And professionally, Marie is a partner at the law firm, INS, specialising in employment law. I will also say Marie is an old friend as well, and Marie took part in the Game Changers Senior Leadership Programme when I was at Leeds. So I'm particularly delighted to welcome Marie this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, friends, good morning to you all virtually. And I'm so pleased to be able to join you today to say such an important thank you to all of our dedicated and hardworking volunteers. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the amazing Nikki Goldman, your chair, Daniel Levy, and everyone at JVN for this inspiring leadership during this time and for bringing us together today. So during this unprecedented time of crisis in our country and across the world, being able to connect virtually, of course, does go some way to ease the burden of our physical isolation. And for those who don't know me or don't know me yet, My name is Marie, as Nikki has said, and I'm the President of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, the 260-year-old representative body for the UK British Jewish community. Myself, my honorary officers, and our nearly 300 deputies, we are all volunteers just like you. And I know firsthand how challenging volunteering can be, but also how rewarding and beneficial it is, not only for yourself, but more importantly, for the wider community. To all those volunteering, now more than ever, we see that our Jewish community is so enriched by its members sharing their time, energy, and huge talents. In short, the Jewish community is powered by its volunteers, and I am so proud of you all. I want to thank you over and over again for everything that you do, and to tell you how valued this is. It is with great sadness that the Jewish community has suffered many losses during this pandemic, and I also want to take time to acknowledge the loss of your former chairman, David Lazarus. My Board of Deputies and I and my colleagues are wishing you all, his family and all of you, only good health and strength. David embodied what we are here to celebrate today. He once said, "There is no doubt in my mind that volunteering is the essential glue that binds and secures our community and its future." Although this is a very challenging time, I'm really proud to see the tenacity with which the Jewish community is responding. Each Thursday, this has been amazing. We've been highlighting the incredible work of individuals from all over the country who are demonstrating such enormous drive, creativity, and resilience. And there are just many, many heroes, whether we've seen somebody making someone's favourite chicken soup, a Jewish penicillin, to those in need, to those who've set up amazing initiatives, raising money to support frontline workers. And there's also been the ingenious use of technology to enable people to help connect and support each other, especially in times of great social isolation. And it's a source of pride to see so many of you here today. So we must remember, in closing from me, that we are a resilient, fluid, adaptive, and that humanity has begun to be united by an outside force. And it is these qualities, these true qualities, which unite us as a global Jewish community. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done and that you inspire others to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you for that lovely message. And again, we really appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Sara Conway to say a few words. Sara is a councillor in Burnt Oak and Barnet Labour in Burnt Oak, and she's Barnet's Labour Community Leadership spokesperson, which includes the voluntary, charity and faith sectors. Sara is a member of the Barnet Together COVID-19 Community Response Fund panel. She's also a member of JVN's advisory board and of Nissan Hashem. Sara, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much for having me here today. Good morning, everyone. I'd also like to start by wishing David's family long life and saying a big thank you for the huge impact that he had for JVN. As well as thanking everyone who's volunteers, I'm echoing the other speakers, and I want to thank the very special JVN team. Maybe like some of you here, I didn't intend to become so involved with JVN, but probably like several people on this call, that was meeting Leonie, who pulled me in, cemented by Nikki, and then watching this fantastic team in action. I've been delighted to join so many of your events over the past couple of years, which are always so welcoming and informative, and where we are usually so well fed. It hasn't been quite the same here this morning. JVN is based in Barnet, where we are very fortunate to have so many active Jewish volunteers and at such a variety of local organisations. A positive impact of the COVID crisis here has been the incredible outpouring of support from so many of you and so many local communities to help those in need. There has also been an important and very welcome step forward in the partnership between the Council and the voluntary and community sector across a large and complex programme of work. This has included the establishment and evolution of the Barnet Together Community Response Fund, which I'm really pleased to be a part of. And I'm working cross-party, also a bit of a difference in these times, with Barnet's Mayor, Councillor Caroline Stock, who probably many of you will know, and Councillor Alex Prager. The Council recently matched £25,000 of public donations, and so far we have made 46 awards to local organisations who don't just provide food and products to the most vulnerable here, but also, crucially, help people to feel that they are valued and cared for. In Barnet, we refer to the VCS as the VCSF, reflecting the important contribution of our local faith communities. It has been really great to see JVN at the heart of Barnet's volunteering response to COVID-19, sharing your expertise, professionalism and care with everybody. Also, to hear about the work JVN volunteers are doing currently at local organisations, which I know include Jewish Care, Kisharon, Jamie, Resource, Paperweight and Compassion London. I know too, as a local volunteer in various places, the positive impact this work has on our own well-being, particularly I think to be able to help in this current crisis. As social distancing continues to be part of our lives, the volunteering you are doing is important, not just in the support you are providing, but in the human connections you are making. This sense of connection and care that you and volunteers from across all our local communities are building will be a vital part of community cohesion and recovery. Thank you so much for all you are doing now and going forward together. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Sara. That's lovely. Thank you for that lovely message and for joining us this morning. I'm now delighted to welcome Christian Wakeford MP, the MP for Bury South. And let me tell you a bit about Christian. So Christian is the Conservative MP for Bury South, and before entering Parliament in 2019, he worked in the communication and insurance sectors. He was also leader of the Conservative group on Pendle Borough Council and a Lancashire County Councillor. Christian has a strong belief in public service and giving back to his community, and he's previously volunteered as a youth worker at his local church and as a school governor. Christian, we're really delighted to welcome you here this morning. I know you've been working closely with the Jewish community in Manchester, and we'd like to invite you to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you for inviting me today to join you all virtually. Even more so that it's timed perfectly for my daughter for nap time, because when I've had several kind of Zoom conversations before, I've had the unfortunate difficulties of having my router unplugged and even being headbutted. So thankfully, we will avoid those difficulties right now. I think you were right, Nikki. The byline for the lockdown pretty much is summed up by, "Can you hear me?" Although if that's the case, the byline for the week we've just gone through has clearly been, "Thank you." The number of conversations where I've been bringing up the local charities in northern Manchester and even volunteers to thank them personally for the work they've been doing. And they've not been doing this work for any real gratification, recognition or reward. They've been doing it because they want to help their community. And that's a laudable aim, but sometimes it's the small things, just like a thank you and a pat on the back, that do go a long way. To a point we've even had 6'4" former army veterans in tears because they've just been told thank you. So it really does go a long way. And when we say thank you, we truly do mean that as a community. This year has been a particularly difficult time for the community, especially having to deal with the difficulties of Passover without being able to share it with family, and not being able to share that with our elderly neighbours, friends, and relatives. So the fact the community has been coming together now more than ever to actually help look after everyone through mental health, befriending, delivering shopping and prescriptions, and helping our elderly and vulnerable neighbours. Again, the community would not be able to cope without the generosity of spirit for those that have actually gone way above and beyond what has been asked for them. During the early coalition years, we heard a lot about the big society, and no one truly knew what that meant until now. And the society and the community really have stepped up and shown what a big society truly is by doing all the work we are doing within the community. We've seen a lot of difficulties for charities with donations dwindling because of coronavirus, but also with staff having to be furloughed. Whilst that's already caused one difficulty, it's also meant that these staff haven't been able to volunteer for the same charity. So in doing so, when the demand for services has increased more than ever because of coronavirus, to actually see that community step forward and say, actually, we're going to help where the charities can't at the moment, has been a huge, huge mission from the community, and we truly do have to say thank you. I myself have volunteered my own rather receding hairline in raising funds for the Fed. Thankfully, it's slowly growing back because it's quite spiky at the moment. But we were able to raise a significant amount so that they can carry on the great work that they're doing in the Northern Manchester communities. But like I said right at the beginning, if this week was the byline for thank you, then that is really the only message we can do. So I'm continuing today, before I go back down to Westminster, of speaking to people to let them know my own personal gratitude, but the gratitude from Bury South and Northern Manchester. So from the bottom of my heart, from the Northwest, thank you to everyone.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. And we hope that your daughter continues to sleep. Thank you, Christian. Really appreciate you being with us. I'm now delighted to invite Sara Radivan to say a few words as a volunteer. So Sara has just received the High Sheriff's Special Recognition Award for outstanding activity and contribution to the community. Sara moved from Liverpool to Manchester in February, just a few weeks ago. She unpacked everything in her house, had about 2 weeks, and then it was lockdown. And she threw herself into volunteering as a telephone befriender for the Fed in Manchester and Chabad Lubavitch, and also then became the Regional Coronavirus Advice Capacity Help CARH Manager for the Board of Deputies. So Sara, will you say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. I think you've just done what you've just said what I'm going to say, but never mind. So thank you for inviting me, distinguished guests. As Nikki said, I am Sara Radivan, and in my day job, I am the Regional Coronavirus Advice Capacity Help Manager for the Board of Deputies, and I'm delighted to be sharing this platform with many distinguished guests, but also with our President, with Marie van der Zyl, who is, as Marie said, herself a volunteer, together with the honorary officers of the board and also the many deputies that we have. So in my copious spare time, I undertake lots of volunteering, having been a community volunteer for many years. I also volunteer for Marie Curie, a charity very close to my heart, and I also undertake many fun runs and sponsor events and raise funds for charities. I'm a big supporter of local and Jewish charities. Can't afford to give money, but I can afford, and I do, give my time generously. As Nikki said, I'm born and bred in Liverpool, and in mid-February, together with my husband Barry, we moved from Liverpool to Manchester, where Barry is from and where he works. Barry had been commuting from Liverpool to Manchester for 7 years, and enough was enough. The time was right. We came to Manchester. The boxes were all unpacked. I got to know a few people here, together with members of the local Jewish community, before Corona creeped in and lockdown arrived. But straight away, I knew I wanted to volunteer. I had already met with Rebecca at the Manchester JVN office, and I registered via the JVN website for volunteering, initially with the Fed, but then also for Chabad Lubavitch, South Manchester. I did do some shopping for a client, but my choice, I didn't want to do shopping again. Dare I say it, I actually felt quite vulnerable in the large supermarkets. However, I did become, and still am, a telephone befriender. I phone my clients once a day, except for Shabbat. At the beginning, it was quite hard, as I didn't know them, and they didn't know me. But now they all look forward to my daily calls, and we've built up a really nice phone relationship. As the weeks have gone on, the clients have opened up and tell me a little bit more about their own personal lives. Every day, I call my clients and engage with them in conversation to ascertain and ensure that they are all okay, both physically and mentally. I always ask if they have food and drink in the house and if they have managed to get outside, especially during the recent hot weather, and go for a walk. I enjoy the regular contact with these clients, as I know they do with me. And for those of you that do know me and those who haven't noticed, I am a chatterbox and can and will chat to anybody. The clients all picked up on this and we do have a really good banter. I always report back by email every week to the Fed and Chabad Lubavitch. I know I'm preaching to the converted, but we're talking of maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day for volunteering, and we can all spare those few minutes every day. I am grateful to JVN for finding me these volunteering roles. JVN, certainly over the past few weeks, have always held meetings and training online via Zoom, which I have attended and have gained great benefit from. And that is what's brought me here today at the end of this National Volunteering Week to tell you about my volunteering experiences.
That's great. Thank you, Sara. And thank you for all the volunteering that you do. So our next speaker is Shaun Delaney. Shaun is the Volunteer Development Manager at the NCVO, the National Council for Volunteering Organisations. Shaun heads up the volunteering department, overseeing strategy for the development of volunteering and volunteer management good practice. He joined the NCVO following 5 years as head of volunteering at the Samaritans, leading the involvement of 20,000 volunteers across the UK and the Republic of Ireland. Before that, he was with the Volunteer Centre Greenwich, supporting 300 plus member organisations to involve volunteers, as well as working on the Olympic and Paralympic related programmes. Shaun, thank you very much for being with us this morning, and I'd like to invite you to say a few words.
No worries, and thanks for having me this morning. I think not a lot of people know about NCVO's work, as it's one of those organisations that lurks in the background a little bit. But a lot of our work is about supporting other networks and organisations like JVN to do the sorts of stuff that you do as well. So I've been a big fan of JVN's work for a few years now. So thanks for having me along today. Also a member of the Association of Volunteer Managers and one of their directors too. And I suppose a lot of my time is around, like I say, trying to support those people that are helping people get involved in volunteering. One of the things that NCVO does is we try and support organisations to celebrate Volunteers Week every year as well. So Nikki, to answer your question from a little bit earlier on, this is the 36th year of Volunteers Week this year. So yeah, it's been going for many years now, and really is that time once a year just to take a week to stop and reflect and think how great volunteering actually is, and to say thank you and to celebrate the time and the energy and the effort that volunteers give. But I think, as everyone said, this year's been particularly tricky and particularly difficult around Volunteers Week and people being able to celebrate in the way that they usually would. I've been thinking a lot about volunteering this week in particular as well, and how it might have shifted. And one of the phrases that I was told many years ago when I started looking at volunteering, when I went to volunteer management school, or volunteering Hogwarts as we call it, is this idea that volunteering is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I've been thinking a little bit more about that this week. And I think through the coronavirus pandemic, actually what we're starting to see much more of is ordinary people just doing ordinary things, but having so much impact on people's lives. And I think the bits that Sara just mentioned a second ago, actually, things like picking up people shopping for them if they're not able to get out the house at the moment, or as Sara's getting involved in more in particular, that just dropping a line to people and giving them a call to see how they're doing. And actually we're talking about quite simple, quite ordinary things, but those are the things that mean people are able to have dinner, or people don't feel like their mental or physical health is deteriorating. So I think at the moment, actually, it feels like volunteering is similarly about ordinary people just doing ordinary things. But it's a great time in this pandemic to realize just how much of an amazing impact that volunteers' time is having on people's lives. So yeah, thanks for having me along, and I just want to reiterate what everyone else has said, and thank you very much, and carry on. What you're doing is awesome, and really keeping communities going at such a difficult time. So thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Shaun, and thank you for being with us. Really appreciated this morning. And I'd like to finally invite Daniel Levy, our new Chair of Trustees, to join us and to say the closing words. Daniel's been actively involved in philanthropy for around 40 years, primarily as a long-standing board member and campaign chair of UJA as part of the founding trustees of Jewish Continuity and a board member of MDA, Magen David Adom. Daniel's currently also governor of Emmanuel College. And Daniel is truly passionate about volunteering and the development of youth engagement in our community and across communities. And I'd like to appreciate Daniel for stepping up as chair of trustees for JVN, having been a trustee for a number of years, and invite him to say a few words. Thank you, Daniel.
Morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Thank you all for giving up your Sunday mornings to be with us. I'm in the hotel business. I'm not a great fan of Zoom technology, quite worried by it, but it certainly gives us great opportunities to create gatherings like this, and hopefully we will build on those. First of all, I just want to thank all our speakers. I won't name you individually in respect of time and trying to be timely, which Nikki's doing such a great job in keeping us on time. I'll try not to get us off schedule. I want to particularly welcome Gabby Lazarus, who cannot have been easy to join this call. All I can say is personally we miss David hugely over Shalom, and me and the Board of Trustees, we're all passionate about JVN and continue to be so, but somehow one of David's many legacies stimulated us more than ever to ensure the future and the continued success of JVN. So Gabby, thank you very much for being with us. Tikkun Olam is really the core of it for me, is repairing the world, which expresses in many ways the values of volunteering in Judaism. The world, as we all know, is far from perfect, but we have the opportunity, but really the obligation, to make it a better place. But I know that I'm talking to the converted, and I've learned so much from all the speakers this morning. In fact, they've said most of what I need to say, but being Jewish, I need to have yet another go at it. For me, spirituality comes about caring about others. The more that we do for others, the more that we reach out for others, the better we feel. Again, I know I'm preaching to the converted. He who gives by his love and devotion and example and causes others to give is indeed the righteous person of his generation. So tick on all the above for those things for the people that we're talking to today. I would actually, particularly in light of all the social support for George Floyd and his tragic passing, I think it is equally particularly important for JVN and the Jewish community as a whole to reach out further, to reach out across communities, to reach out beyond our norms, to be able to share some of our Jewish values, as I know some of our partners such as Mitzvah Day do, more and more to get out of not only our Jewish world, but to go to the wider world, to cross boundaries, to work across racial boundaries. And
dinner.
Yes, please. Whoever's calling dinner. I think that's a great opportunity and a need for us. But now I want to set a challenge for you. All of you that are engaged with JVN and are involved in JVN, certainly technology, as Marie said, is a great opportunity for us to reach out, whether by phone, whether by Zoom, in numerous ways.
I left my card out.
Reach than we could before. However, nothing beats personal recruitment. And we are desperately looking for ambassadors, champions, call them what you may. We need to find an appropriate name that intimately know and are passionate about some of the volunteering that exists within, specific volunteering that exists within the JVN world, which is, as you all know, wide and varied, and really become ambassadors to share with your friends specific opportunities to participate in them, to try and get more people volunteering. Because one thing is for sure, that this COVID crisis has created a volunteering epidemic, so to speak, on an extraordinary scale. The challenge is going to be, please God, post-pandemic, that we engage those volunteers and continue their work and the opportunities which we can so easily pass as day-to-day challenges come to people. Our challenge is to capture them, to keep them engaged, and to keep this passion of volunteering going even stronger post-pandemic than it is today. Thank you all so much for your help. We really appreciate your friendship, your support, and please keep going and keep safe above all. Thank you, Nikki, for putting on such a extraordinary event this morning. It's been terrific, very stimulating. Thank you.
And thank you, Daniel, and thank you to you and to all the other JVN trustees as well, of course, who are volunteers, and to our JVN volunteers who volunteer for us week in, week out, and as part of the ad hoc squad. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm really keen to close on time, but we really appreciate you joining us. This crisis has given us the opportunity to do this event. We've never run an event like this before, and so this is an opportunity that we've grabbed, and we're so grateful to all of you for joining us today and for all the volunteering that you do. I'd like to make a special thank you at the end to my colleagues Josh, Joe and Rebecca, who brought all this together in a seemingly effortless way, but we all know that anything that looks effortless is not at all. So thank you all very much for doing this. Thank you for joining us, and we'd like you to unmute yourselves so you can say goodbye, and please stay safe and well. Bye-bye.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done.
Good to see everybody.
Lovely to see
Well done.
you.
Thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining us.
Keep well.